Joined now by Armando Salguero, who is a veteran NFL writer, Pro Hall of Fame voter, all-around good guy. I know there's a lot going on with Aaron Rodgers being the focus for every NFL writer in the country right now. Thank you for joining me for a couple of minutes.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Aaron Rodgers is the focus. What's he doing now? What's going on with him? Did he go potty this morning? Is he all right?
Everybody wants to know, Armando. I mean, we've been following this guy around on his every word for what feels like an eternity, especially the last couple of months. And the latest we've heard as of this taping is that the Jets took a plane out to California, Woody Johnson, Nathaniel Hackett, Robert Saleh, trying to woo him and get this thing done to go to New York. I know you wrote a piece on what this means for the Packers and Jordan Love, so I want to touch on the other half of this story too. But as of this moment, what do we know about the finality of all this?
Well, the finality is that there is no finality yet. Aaron Rodgers needs to decide whether, in fact, he is going to play in 2023 or not. He has not given a definitive statement on that issue, not just to us, the media, but, in fact, the Green Bay Packers, which is step one. Clearly, he is open if he decides that he's going to play to playing for the New York Jets. That's the reason that he hosted the New York Jets. They had a nice dinner. Ownership was there. Obviously, the head coach, Robert Saleh, was there. The offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, who has a history with Aaron Rodgers, was there. It was all wonderful, except for the fact that the Jets left that meeting without an answer as to whether Aaron Rodgers is going to play or not. And so we go back to that every single time.
Can you read anything? I even hesitate to ask this question. I mean, can you read between the tea leaves that he's entertaining a meeting like this, that he has said, you know, he came out of the darkness retreat with clarity on both sides of the quote unquote darkness? I mean, or do we still truly not know if he's even going to play football again?
Well, the clarity is, it really is on the Green Bay Packers side, because a team that has a four-time MVP quarterback typically does not allow another team to go talk to him. Unless, of course, they are willing and planning even to be without that quarterback. They are more than open to trading that quarterback. So what we know is that the Green Bay Packers are ready to move on with Jordan Love.
How ready do you think Jordan Love is for this next era in Green Bay?
Yeah, that's the $64,000 question, which with inflation means it's kind of a cheap question. But it's important to note that the Packers believe that the next step that he needs to take, he being Jordan Love, is just play, get some experience, actually see some live repetitions in games. And they trust and believe that everything that they've seen up to this point is going to lead to him being a good player once he gains that experience.
The unfortunate part of the big stage that comes with the NFL and its spotlight is that when you do get those opportunities to play in games that count, you know, you have to make every snap count. And there were a couple of instances where he failed to do that. I mean, what would you say to Packers fans who are not convinced that he is ready?
Yeah, it's a legitimate concern because we don't know what we don't know. But you have to trust the team that, you know, up until last year had won 13 games on average for the previous 3 years. And so they believe that they've seen enough. And here's the other thing. Aaron Rodgers can be exhausting. He really can. Aaron Rodgers signed the richest per year contract in the history of the NFL and then took the summer off, took the offseason off, when most other teams, most other quarterbacks, most other players are working with their teammates. And then what happened was when the season started, Aaron Rodgers and his wide receiver room were not on the same page at all. You think they might have helped each other out if they had been working together during the offseason program, during OTAs, during the camps that the teams hold? Of course they would have. And that was evidenced by the fact that they got better with more reps late in the season. So Aaron Rodgers, that didn't sit well with the folks in Green Bay, and his constant talk of retirement, his constant, self introspection or whatever. It's fun, it's cool, but it is exhausting after a while.
And that coupled with the reality that for a veteran quarterback with every passing season, productivity is going to go down. I mean, arms are going to deteriorate. So just for fun, for speculation's sake, because I know nothing's final, if he does end up going to the Jets, if they can pull this off, and it sounds like the Packers are done with him either way, does he make the Jets a Super Bowl winning, a Super Bowl caliber team?
Well, maybe we should ask Josh Allen, who would be in the same division, because I don't know that Aaron Rodgers going to the AFC East makes him the best quarterback in the division. I don't know that Aaron Rodgers going to the New York Jets makes him the best quarterback in the loaded conference. This is a conference with Joe Burrow. This is a conference with, what's his name in Kansas City? Patrick Mahomes, right? So it's an easier path to the Super Bowl in the NFC. In the AFC, it's a murderer's row. So to say that the Jets would thus become a Super Bowl favorite, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure that they're the favorite to win the division. But obviously, from the Jets standpoint, look, he's better than what we've had. He's a huge upgrade. He's experienced. He knows what he's doing. Let's roll with that because we got nothing better.
And they were just so woefully inept at the position, which was unfortunate for a talented defense. And you watched them play towards the end of last season, and you kind of thought, living in New York, like, man, what could be possible if they actually had a signal caller that, was able to do the job. You mentioned Patrick Mahomes, who is paid according to what he deserves, and Daniel Jones, the other team here in New York, just inking a deal with the Giants. And I saw that you put on Twitter that was something of an overcorrection for a guy that they didn't evaluate to be worth that kind of price tag not only a season or so ago. Is that true? Do you think that this is a bit of an over course correction?
Well, so Daniel Jones now dealing on an annual average, he's making $40 million a year average annually for the next 4 years. That's the 7th highest annual average in the NFL right now, tied for the 7th highest. Is Daniel Jones the 7th best quarterback in the NFL? I'm not sure that he has been. In fact, I know he hasn't been. And the Giants are betting that if they put people around him, if they get him a tight end, if they, add a couple of receivers. The Giants' best receiver last year was someone they picked off the Buffalo Bills practice squad at the end of the season. So, yeah, they need upgrades. They need to put more people around Daniel Jones. But does that make Daniel Jones, who threw 15 touchdown passes last year, a 35 touchdown passer type guy? That's really pushing the envelope on optimism. I would say this. The Giants could have had Daniel Jones for 2023 had they put the 5th-year option on him. It would have cost $22 million. They didn't see enough of Daniel Jones and in Daniel Jones before that decision to make that decision. Now they're paying the price because now it's $40 million. That's what people have to pay for even solid quarterbacks in the NFL. And again, the idea that they're paying looking ahead, wow, that's rough. God bless the New York Giants for having that sort of trust in Daniel Jones. I'm not the New York Giants. I don't have that trust in Daniel Jones.
Despite a stellar season last season, you're going to need a larger sample size, I guess. Help me understand and help kind of the layman understand what is going on with Lamar Jackson and why teams are seemingly sort of dismissing him. There's been a lot of sort of rumblings on social media that there could be a little bit of foul play here, collusion on the part of some of these ownership groups, maybe a little bit of tinge of racism. I mean, what is really going on here?
So let's do that exercise, shall we? The collusion against Lamar Jackson because he's black or for whatever reason. So what people who contend that are saying is that 31 other NFL owners, and maybe not 31 because not everybody needs a quarterback, but maybe 15 other NFL owners got together and decided we're not interested in this player because we need to hold the line financially, and we need to do this to benefit the Baltimore Ravens and their salary cap and their quarterback situation. And yeah, let's all agree on that. I'm wondering if they would all agree. No, they're not agreeing on this. I just don't buy this whole collusion argument. And one of the reasons I don't buy it is because I just don't, if we were talking about Patrick Mahomes, all right, a black quarterback, and he wanted a fully guaranteed contract, my guess is he would get it. We're talking about an individual who wants a fully guaranteed deal, but cannot in return fully guarantee you that he's even going to play every game. And I love Lamar Jackson. He's an outstanding, dynamic quarterback in the NFL. But he's not around in December and January when his team needs him the most to make the playoffs and to make a playoff push. So how does a team decide we're just going to blow up our salary cap structure come hell or high water to give you this guarantee when we don't know that you're going to be playing when the season is at its height, when we need you the most? And by the way, the metrics show that you're probably not going to be playing because you haven't the last 2 years, because you are a guy that had history of injuries in college, and you are a dual threat quarterback that takes more hits than the average quarterbacks. It's not because of your race. It's because of the contract that you're asking for, your history. And oh, by the way, if you're another team, you have to give up 2 first-round picks for that. So why would teams jump out to do that when the Ravens have spent the last year and a half talking to Lamar Jackson about a contract? We expect teams in the first 7 hours of him getting tagged to say, yeah, we're absolutely doing this. My guess is that Lamar Jackson on March 15th, next week, will have some contact with teams or a team that's interested in him. But it's a hard hill to climb when you're talking about fully guaranteed for an injury, riddled player or a player that has an injury riddled history, and give up 2 first-round picks and pay $50 million a year plus. That's a lot of obstacles to climb.
Just quickly, a final point on him. I mean, there are some who are supporters of him that said, hey, way to go. You bet on yourself. You kind of took this into your own hands in terms of managing how you're going to negotiate these deals moving forward. I wonder, from what you're saying, could he have benefited from some outside advisement? Did he overplay his hand a little bit here? Is this a situation where, like you said, maybe because you're looking at it through your own lens, you're not considering all the different factors that an organization would take into consideration when signing a massive deal like this?
Yeah, well, dealing with players who handle their own contracts is hard on teams because teams can tell agents things that they would never say to the player. Borderline ugly things, right? Look, your player has this fault, this flaw, that problem, this issue that we're worried about, and is the reason we're not paying him. They're not going to do that with the player, because the player needs to be in the building and like the place that he's in, and not hold resentment for what he was told about what the team actually feels. So that makes the negotiation harder for everyone, because Lamar Jackson isn't getting a true picture of what the Baltimore Ravens think, even from the Baltimore Ravens. Having said that, an agent costs 3%. In this case, he's probably worth it.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, a couple more, because I don't want to keep you too long. I know you have to check to see if Aaron Rodgers has gone to the bathroom in the last hour or not. But Derek Carr landing with the Saints, your thoughts on that move, and if that makes sense for New Orleans?
That makes sense for New Orleans. You know, they're done with Jameis Winston. I understand. The coach has a history with Dennis Allen, has a coach as the head coach, has a, if I could spit it out, he has a history with Derek Carr. And Derek Carr, you know, signed what is a good contract, but not a break the bank contract, right? So it makes sense for all parties involved. The Saints have a really good defense, and they play indoors, which will help Derek Carr, you know, at least 8 or 9 times a year. So it's a good fit, no doubt about that.
And do you like what Seattle is doing with Geno Smith, betting on him? Are they still in the market for that next guy at quarterback? How do you view what's going on in Seattle?
Yeah, they've paid him, you know, what, $35 million a year. So they're betting on him. They believe in him, but they do have that high draft pick coming up. And so they're not telling people what they're going to do with it. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if they, you know, find some conviction about one of the guys in the draft and go that way. It doesn't hurt, you know. Look, good teams, even if you have a good quarterback, draft quarterbacks. They are a lottery ticket, and sometimes you hit.
So the old adage of if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one, doesn't necessarily apply if you have 2 elite quarterbacks or 2 quarterbacks that fit the system. Because it seems like Geno really fits with what Pete Carroll has done out there.
Yeah, you know, if you have an elite quarterback, that's something else again. I'm not sure that Geno is there. Geno's proved last year he's a good quarterback, you know, better than a lot of people thought, including myself. But elite, I'm not sure he's made that jump yet. Quarterbacks are good. Get quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are very, very expensive once they get good. And if you have another one in the pipeline, you've got options.
All right, last one for you, Armando. Let's go back to the Aaron Rodgers saga and kind of finish with this. You mentioned the fact that the Packers might be exhausted by his shtick. You know, I mean, how difficult he makes everything, how self-centered he seemingly is. These are my words, not yours. It's just everything is about him. What would the Jets be getting? I know they need a quarterback here, but for Robert Saleh, who's a guy who's still, in my opinion, kind of finding his own way and does really well with younger players, Aaron Rodgers is a different beast entirely in terms of what he demands when he comes to a market. Is there any sense that you think that the Jets could have some buyer's remorse, regardless of the fact that they do desperately need somebody who can fill a position?
Yeah, I don't think the Jets will have the opportunity to have buyer's remorse within Aaron Rodgers, because it's really a 1 or at the outside 2-year experience, right? What the Jets are doing is people are trying to save their lives. Their jobs, maybe their lives. So,
it's kind of the same in this league. Yeah.
So they're trying to do that, and the Jets without Aaron Rodgers, what are they going to do? Chase Jimmy Garoppolo, another injury-prone player? Aaron Rodgers is the play. It's the right play for them. And in short spurts, you can deal with Aaron Rodgers. It's the 15-year spurts that kind of wear on people, I think.
Armando, thank you so much for the time. I know you got to jump because you're watching this story closely. I really appreciate it, and thanks a lot.
My pleasure. Anytime.